The idea of what hell looks like varies from culture to culture. But one thing is clear: no matter how it's imagined, it's always the place where people face the consequences for their behavior on Earth.
The Mesopotamian religion has a version of hell called Kur, and it's basically a sealed fortress where prisoners must drink dirt and eat stones.
For the ancient Greeks, once the dead get to Hades, the underworld, which is famously guarded by a terrifying three-headed dog named Cerberus, they receive judgment. And anyone who's deemed wicked proceeds to a place called Tartarus to receive their divine punishment.
Hindu texts about spiritual punishment describe several realms similar to hell. Torture there can include things like dismemberment, piercing, and burning, depending on what specific offenses a person might have committed.
The ancient Egyptians believed that upon death, a person would be judged by 42 judges, and their heart would be weighed against the feather of truth.
If the heart is lighter than the feather, then they're allowed to pass into the permanent afterlife. But if it's heavier, they're thrown to the god Amit, the devourer of the dead, and portrayed as this hybrid being that's part hippo, part lion, and part crocodile. Amit would torture them in a lake of fire and then eat them.
The Christian version of hell ultimately becomes the most famous. Hell is a dark place where unrepentant sinners go after being judged by God after death.
This version of hell becomes widespread thanks to a best-selling 14th century author.
In 1321, the Catholic Italian writer Dante Alighieri penned his famous Divine Comedy.
It's an epic poem which is divided into 3 sections. In the part called the Inferno, he maps what he calls the 9 circles of hell, based on levels of how bad the punishments are. And Dante goes into substantial detail about the type of torture which is involved.
He also describes which particular bad deeds will earn you a place in hell. Being lustful earns you a spot in the 2nd circle. He puts Cleopatra and Helen of Troy here, for instance. Heretics end up in the 6th circle, where they spend eternity entombed in flaming crypts.
But all these accounts of hell leave out one crucial detail. Where is it?
Though the Christian Bible doesn't offer a precise location for hell, we do get some clues like heart of the earth and lower earthly regions, which contribute to the idea that hell might be located underground.
It might have to do with the ancient Egyptians. They believed in an underground hell long before the Bible. For them, it was reached through caves, which are dark, scary, hot, and very real.
This idea is further developed in something called the Book of Caverns.
The Book of Caverns is not an actual book in the traditional sense. It's a collection of religious documents inscribed on tomb walls written between 1300 and 1200 BC, and is perhaps the best source for the Egyptian idea of hell. It details the journey the sun god Ra takes through 6 caverns of their netherworld.
It lays out many familiar themes of hell, like judgment and punishment. But there's also a real focus on the underworld as a geographical place, because it gives several hints about an actual topographical structure of the caverns. It's almost like a map to hell. Though, as far as we know, no one has been successful in finding it.
The ancient Greeks also believed hell was underground. In fact, an influential scholar named Strabo claimed it could be reached via a portal called Pluto's Gate. It's named after the Roman god of the underworld, and it's a place Strabo said he actually visited.
And at this site, there's a stone temple, which is built over a cave believed to be the gateway to hell. And that's because this cave is deadly. Anyone who gets too close to it and lingers there dies from suffocation by this foul-smelling gas emanating from the cave, sometimes referred to as the breath of death.
To the ancients, this is pretty convincing proof of the underworld. And what else but hell could actually be down there?
Pluto's Gate becomes a major tourist attraction. People come from miles around to sit at a safe distance in the specially built seating and watch as priests send live animals into the cave, everything from bulls to birds. And when they pull them back out, they're dead.
When earthquakes hit the area in the 6th century AD, the cave is destroyed, and its location is lost to time.
As we get into the Dark and Middle Ages, people decide that these accounts of an entrance to hell must be mythical. So Pluto's gate is chalked up as legend.
Then, in 1965, a team of Italian archaeologists sets out to look for it.
And sure enough, it's found in present-day Turkey near the city of Pamukkale.
Following a thermal hot spring, the team uncovers the ruins, filled with inscriptions dedicated to the god of the underworld, Pluto.
The cave is located along a geologically active seismic fault line, which releases deadly carbon dioxide gas, which will kill any human or animal today. Anyone who visits the cave will see dead birds lining the entrance.
And today, archaeologists continue to search for other physical caves that ancients might have interpreted as hell.
In 2012, an archaeologist named Michael Galati is working in the Mani region of southern Greece as part of a team excavating the extensive Allopotropa cave.
What's fascinating about Allopotropa is not that it was used by the ancient Greeks, but that it predates them by thousands of years. It's one of the earliest known inhabited places of that region. It's clear that ancient people once lived and died in the cave.
Excavations have identified the remains of over 170 different people across several centuries. And it appears to have been in use from about 6,000 BC all the way up to 3,200 BC.
It's around that time that a catastrophic earthquake takes place, burying not only the entrance to the cave, but hundreds of people trapped inside.
Think of it like the ancient eruption of Pompeii. You have all these innocent people trapped and buried. Except unlike Pompeii, many of the people inside the Allopotropa cave wouldn't have died instantly. Many might have died slowly from things like injuries or starvation. It would have been torture, and maybe this is where the idea of hell comes from.
Archaeologists have found that there was also a large society of people living just outside the cave at that time. So they would have seen this happen. And they might have heard the tortured screams of the poor people trapped underground inside for several more days. It would be horrifying, like hell on earth.